Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling unsettled, as if you've done something wrong but can't quite pinpoint why? Have you ever sensed you're being controlled, yet there's no clear evidence to grasp? That's not a coincidence. You might be dealing with a type of person everyone should be wary of, a master manipulator. They don't yell, they don't threaten, and they might even smile and seem gentle. But beneath that friendly facade is a calculated mind, ready to twist your perception, distort the truth, and trap you in a web of emotions, guilt, and confusion. Unlike overtly toxic people, a master manipulator is an artist of disguise. They don't just manipulate your actions. More dangerously, they manipulate your thoughts, emotions, and even your trust in yourself. They plant seeds of doubt, making you question your integrity, your memories, and sometimes your worth as a person. The danger lies in how often you don't even realize it. They don't need to raise their voice to control you. They do it by making you slowly retreat from your inner voice, convincing you that you're the problem. But today, the fog lifts. In this video, we'll peel back every layer of the master manipulator's sophisticated disguise. You'll learn the 8 clearest signs to spot one, no matter how well they hide. And more than just recognizing them, you'll be empowered to fight back, calmly, confidently, and powerfully. Because you deserve clarity, mental freedom, and a life free from invisible strings. If you've ever felt like someone is playing mind games with you, if you've been manipulated but couldn't put it into words, this is the video you can't miss. Stay until the end, because this isn't just about understanding. It's about learning to protect yourself, set boundaries, and reclaim control of your mind. Before we dive into the signs, if you've ever felt manipulated or controlled without knowing why, comment "I've seen it" below to share and help raise awareness together. Don't forget to like this video to help YouTube spread it to those who need it, and subscribe to the channel to catch more in-depth content on psychology, inner freedom, and reclaiming personal strength. Number 1, they weaponize confusion. One of the most dangerous weapons of a master manipulator isn't harsh words or overt aggression. It's deliberate ambiguity, the art of sowing subtle confusion in your mind. They know that when you're uncertain, you become easier to lead, to doubt yourself, and to control. A skilled manipulator never attacks head-on. They attack by creating disarray. They make it impossible to distinguish what's real from what's fabricated, what's your fault from what's their game with your reality. Picture a conversation where, afterward, you're unsure what you even said. You wonder if you're too sensitive, overthinking, or even imagining problems. That's when they planted doubt in you. Seemingly innocuous phrases, timed perfectly, like, "What do you mean by that?" Or, "You're overreacting a bit." Or worse, "That's not how it happened," are their go-to tactics. They deliberately distort events, deny your memories, or scramble the sequence of events to leave you bewildered. Once you stop trusting your feelings, memories, or judgment, you start seeking validation from them, the very person manipulating you. These aren't innocent communication mishaps. This is strategic manipulation. They know exactly what they're doing, targeting your greatest vulnerability, your need to be understood, to be right, to be acknowledged. And when you crave clarity, they withhold it. They leave you floundering in a gray zone where you can't tell what's wrong or what's true. In their world, everything can be twisted. They say one thing today, deny it tomorrow. They make you wonder if you're paranoid. That's when they seize control. Another common tactic is redefining and deflecting. When you call out hurtful behavior, they flip the script, casting you as the troublemaker with lines like, "You're just blaming others for your issues," or "You're playing the victim to justify your weakness." They make you explain why you're upset, even apologize for your emotions. Eventually, you're unsure what to say, how to react, or what to believe. That's when they've won. Confusion is a powerful manipulation tool because it paralyzes your ability to act. It cripples your judgment and decision-making. When you're unsure what's true, you hesitate to act. When you think you might be wrong, you don't set boundaries. And when you filter your emotions through someone else's lens, you lose your inner voice. That's how a master manipulator keeps you mentally dependent, not with chains, but with ambiguity. How do you spot and counter this? First, trust your initial emotions. If a conversation leaves you feeling empty, drained, or doubting your perception, that's a red flag. An emotionally healthy person clarifies issues, not adds to your confusion. They leave you feeling clearer after talking, not more muddled. So if someone consistently makes you feel disoriented, you're likely not wrong. They're doing it on purpose. A simple yet powerful technique to break this manipulation is to hold your ground. Don't let them drag you into their maze by changing the subject. If you ask, "Why didn't you tell me about that?" and they respond with, "You're always suspicious," or "I don't owe you an explanation," refocus. "I just want to know why it was hidden." By staying on point, you strip away their control. You also need to get comfortable with not getting clear answers. Manipulators rarely provide straightforward responses, and you must accept that clarity won't always come from them. It comes from trusting your intuition and boundaries. If you feel dismissed, deceived, or repeatedly confused, that's evidence enough. You don't need perfect proof. Recurring feelings are your clue. Remember, a manipulator can make you doubt everything, but they can't strip your resolve if you pause and observe. Each time you stay calm and don't chase their confusion, you reclaim control. Each time you question your emotions and theirs, you rebuild your defenses. And each time you step away from ambiguous situations instead of seeking answers, you restore your autonomy. If you've ever felt lost in a relationship where someone made you feel like the problem, share your experience in the comments. Speaking out and seeing others relate can break the isolation trap they create. If this content brings you clarity, like the video to spread it further, and subscribe to keep unpacking psychological manipulation tactics and reclaiming mental strength. Number 2, they mirror you to gain trust. One of the most sophisticated manipulation techniques is mirroring, a deliberate psychological strategy, not a coincidence, that exploits our natural tendency to trust what feels familiar. They study your gestures, speech patterns, music taste, reading preferences, or even your past, then subtly reflect them back as if you're two pieces of a perfect puzzle. When you see yourself in them, you start believing they understand you, love you genuinely, and could never have ill intentions. That's when you become their most vulnerable prey. At first, this mirroring feels magical. You think you've met someone scarily compatible, sharing your worldview, dreams, or old wounds. You feel heard, understood, and empathized with in a rare way. But the truth is, they don't understand you. They're studying you. They note what moves you, your disappointments, your desires. Then they use those to convince you they're the only one who truly gets you in this chaotic world. This is the accelerated fake connection phase, where they rush intimacy by making you believe this alignment is a special, almost cosmic bond. They say things like, "I've never felt so similar to someone," or "It's like we've known each other forever." And because you want to believe in that connection, you overlook red flags. You ignore how things feel too fast, too perfect, too much like a scripted dream. The scary part is that this mirroring isn't just behavioral. Master manipulators mirror your emotions and wounds. Share a betrayal story, and they'll have a similar one, real or not. Mention needing safety or empathy, and they'll coincidentally become the most trustworthy, attentive person you've met. When you open up and trust them, they're the ones who'll leave you feeling the deepest loss. The trap is this: seeing someone like you lowers your guard. You question their motives less, forgive their mistakes more, and rationalize odd behavior with, "It's probably a misunderstanding. They're good." That's when they shift. The initial mirroring gives way to control. They test boundaries, making increasingly unreasonable demands while maintaining the like-you facade. When you push back, they weaponize that early connection. "Don't you remember saying you hate being abandoned? Yet you're doing that to me?" Or, "Didn't you say I'm the first to make you feel like yourself? Now you doubt me?" They turn your similarity into shackles, making you feel that leaving them betrays yourself. To protect yourself, look beyond repeated behaviors. Genuine connection doesn't need constant emphasis on similarity. It doesn't rush intimacy or rely on movie-like lines to make you feel special. It grows naturally and crucially, it respects boundaries. A manipulator, however, blends into you like a shadow, always there at the right time, understanding you eerily well. That ease should raise your guard. Another telltale sign. When you diverge or don't react as they expect, they don't adapt. They react with anger, coldness, or punishing silence. They don't care about you. They care about the control they gain by being your ideal copy. When you break from that mold, they feel their power slip and resort to other tactics like blame, emotional threats, or playing the victim. Remember, similarity doesn't guarantee compatibility. Excessive similarity can be a warning. Ask yourself, do I feel watched? Are they copying me to win my approval? Do they have their own identity? These questions draw a line between authentic connection and deliberate mirroring. One of the best defenses is maintaining clear boundaries and time. Don't rush trust. Don't let similarity fool you into instant closeness. Observe them when you don't comply, disagree, or set limits. Someone who respects you will honor your differences. A manipulator won't. They see differences as threats and try to pull you back to their crafted image. If you've met someone who felt like they were copying or reading you in an unsettling way, share your story in the comments. Your experience could help others realize they're not alone in this mental battle. If this content opens your eyes, like and share the video with loved ones. Subscribe to keep exploring deep psychological topics like this. Understanding is the first step to breaking free from manipulation and reclaiming your life. Number 3, they use guilt as a lever. Guilt is a subtle yet powerful tool that master manipulators wield with precision. It's not just a personal emotion. It's a dangerous weapon when used by someone who knows how to exploit it. They don't need to shout or command. A few well-placed words or a timely image can make you feel like you're at fault, even when you're the victim. This isn't random, it's strategy. Guilt stems from your deepest values: empathy, gratitude, responsibility, selflessness. Because it comes from the best parts of you, when manipulators use it against you, it doesn't feel like an attack. Instead, you blame yourself, thinking, maybe I was too cold, I could have been kinder, or they've done so much for me, I shouldn't hurt them more. But the truth is, the guilt you're carrying isn't from your wrongdoing. It's the result of their carefully staged performance. Manipulators know that if they make you feel guilty, you'll soften. And when you soften, you compromise. You overlook their wrongs, try to make up for them, and lose your boundaries just to avoid feeling like a bad person. That's when they reshape reality, twisting the truth and burdening you with emotions they should bear. You stop distinguishing whose responsibility is whose. You apologize for things you didn't cause, explain decisions you're entitled to make, and seek permission to feel your true emotions. A classic example is when you say no to a request beyond your limits. Instead of respecting your boundary, they make you feel selfish. With a soft, pained tone, they might say, I get it, you're probably busy. Don't worry, I'll manage, making you feel heartless. Or worse, they remind you of their sacrifices. I canceled my plans to be there for you, and now? These words aren't for communication. They're to make you feel indebted, and no one dares resist when they feel emotionally in debt. Another form is making you feel guilty for their emotions. You're sad, they get angry. You're angry, they withdraw. You voice your perspective, they cry. Soon you believe your emotions harm them. You learn to suppress, stay silent, and censor yourself to avoid upsetting them. You think you're maturing, being patient, but you're being controlled. They expertly swap emotions, making you feel guilty for what you're entitled to do, thus controlling your behavior without commands. Some manipulators use their sad story as an impenetrable shield. They share tales of a traumatic childhood, betrayals, or loneliness, making you feel that hurting them further would make you the final villain in their chain of abandonments. So you stay, not because you're happy, but because you feel responsible for healing them. But remember, compassion is an obligation. Someone who truly loves you won't use their pain as a chain to keep you bound. The key realization is that guilt doesn't equal truth. You can feel guilty for something that's not wrong. You can be forced to apologize for what you're entitled to do. If that guilt recurs every time you defend your boundaries or express your needs, it's not self-reflection, it's manipulation. How do you break free? First, feel the guilt but don't act on it immediately. When someone makes you feel guilty, ask, did I actually do something wrong? Or am I being made to feel responsible for their emotions? Separate emotion from truth. Sometimes doing the right thing feels guilty. That's normal when you're breaking the habit of pleasing others. But maturity starts with enduring uncomfortable emotions to protect yourself from toxic relationships. Also, observe how they react when you say no. A kind person might be disappointed, but will respect you. A manipulator will make you feel guilty, using their disappointment as a tool to mold you. If they only respect you when you meet their demands, that's not affection, it's a transaction. Never forget, you're not obligated to heal anyone, especially those who repeatedly make you feel like the cause of their pain. You can't be responsible for wounds you didn't inflict. If someone only values you through your endurance and sacrifice, that's not love, it's exploitation. If you've been manipulated with guilt, share your experience in the comments. Your stories can illuminate others trapped in similar cycles. If this content is valuable, like, subscribe, and share it with loved ones, especially those wrestling with confusion and guilt in relationships. You don't owe anyone the right to control you. You owe yourself freedom, clarity, and peace. Number 4, they withdraw affection strategically genuine. Natural affection builds safety in any relationship, but for master manipulators, affection isn't a heartfelt flow, it's a tool to be withheld or granted at will. They use care, love, and attention as bait. When you act as they want, you're showered with closeness, praise, hugs, or validation. But the moment you disagree, set a boundary, or do something against their wishes, they pull back, cold, distant, or even vanishing without explanation. This is a highly sophisticated and effective manipulation tactic called conditional affection withdrawal. And if you don't catch it early, you'll be swept into a cycle of self-doubt and craving their validation. Manipulators know emotional connection is a core human need. We all want to be loved, accepted, and valued. When they abruptly withdraw affection, you don't just feel empty, you start questioning yourself. What did I do wrong? Am I not good enough? Can I do something to get them back? This absence becomes a silent punishment, pushing you to change your behavior to earn their love again. The danger is you think you're salvaging the relationship, but you're actually learning to surrender. You're conditioned to believe love is something you must deserve, and they decide when you qualify. This withdrawal can be subtle. It's not always total silence. Sometimes they're still there, but cold. They talk, but with an indifferent tone. They stay near, but without the familiar touch, warm gaze, or laughter. When you ask, is something wrong? They deny it, saying nothing's wrong, or even blaming you. You're too sensitive. This makes you feel unhinged. You sense a change but are forced to believe everything's fine. This is emotional gaslighting, making you doubt your feelings and intuition. They don't withdraw because they need time to think or are genuinely hurt. They do it to make you fear losing them, to teach you that their emotional presence isn't guaranteed. It's a reward. You must act right, behave properly, or know your place to receive it again. Over time, you lose safety in the relationship. Instead of being yourself, you live on edge, fearing that a wrong word, honest feeling, or too much truth will trigger their cold silence. They often cycle this tactic. First, a love-bombing phase where you feel special, cherished, and noticed. Then withdrawal, sudden, unexplained, without reason. When you're hurt and confused enough, they return, warm and caring, convincing you it was just a phase. But you never know when the next emotional storm will hit. You live in fear and emotional dependency. That's when they fully control you. Worse, you start blaming yourself for their coldness, believing you were too stubborn, too sensitive, or too dramatic, forcing their retreat. When they return after a withdrawal, you feel grateful instead of angry. This signals a power imbalance. One person doles out affection like a deity, the other lives in a fear of rejection. If you've been punished with coldness, know this: true affection isn't conditional. Someone who loves you won't vanish because you say no. They won't use indifference as a silent blow. They won't make you doubt your worth for being authentic. A healthy relationship makes you feel accepted, heard, and loved, even when imperfect. If you must earn affection, you're not loved, you're controlled. How do you escape this cycle? First, notice if affection is withheld whenever you show independence or disagree. If so, that's a clear red flag. Then stand firm against the false fear of rejection. Don't rush to apologize or appease. Let them have their space, but also give yourself space to see if they truly respect you or are just testing how much you'll endure. Strategic silence isn't as scary as losing trust in yourself. Love isn't a whip to keep you in fear. You don't need to chase someone who disappears when you speak your mind. Stay with yourself, strong, clear, and unwilling to be manipulated again. If you've been trapped in this cycle, share in the comments. We don't need to stay silent anymore. Your story could awaken someone stuck in a similar dynamic. If this content helps, share it with friends or anyone doubting themselves, and subscribe to continue this journey of awareness, boundary setting, and emotional freedom. Number 5, they rewrite the past. When you're in a relationship with a professional manipulator, you're not just interacting in the present, you're having your memories reshaped. One of their most dangerous weapons is rewriting the past to serve their interests. This isn't mere forgetfulness or differing perspectives. It's a deliberate strategy to make you doubt yourself, lose touch with reality, and depend on their version of events. This is a specific form of psychological manipulation called gaslighting. And when undetected, it traps you in a distorted reality where they control your memories. It starts small. You argue, clearly recalling them yelling or insulting you. But the next day they smirk and say, "I just raised my voice. I didn't yell. You're exaggerating." Or worse, "I don't remember that happening." Slowly you question what you experience. You think, maybe I'm too sensitive, or maybe I misunderstood. Your memories, meant to ground your decisions, become hazy and malleable. Rewriting the past lets them dodge accountability. When they behave poorly, they deny the event, downplay its severity, or shift blame to you. If you protest, "You hurt me with those words," they counter, "You started it." Or, "If you hadn't made me angry, I wouldn't have said that." Suddenly you, the victim, become the culprit. You apologize for their reaction when you were the one wronged. This distortion extends to rewriting your shared history. Your forgiveness, compromises, and endurance are spun as proof you're ungrateful. Don't understand them, or only see the negative. They say, "I've sacrificed so much for you, and you don't remember." Or, "Everything I did was for you," but you focus on the bad. These words foster guilt, the chain that keeps you from leaving or believing you deserve respect. The danger is that prolonged memory distortion makes you distrust your intuition. You feel uneasy but can't name why. You want to say no, but aren't sure it's justified. You consult them even on small decisions because they've convinced you you're unstable, unreliable, or misremembering. This is when you lose your greatest autonomy, the ability to see truth and act on it. To spot this, watch for these signs. 1. You constantly justify your emotions. 2. Painful memories are denied or altered by them. 3. You apologize despite doing nothing clearly wrong. 4. You hesitate to share your truth, fearing you're exaggerating or not objective. If you're experiencing any of these, you're in a toxic environment, and the only thing distorted isn't your memory, but the truth they're hiding. Truth lives in your body, in the emotions you feel. When you recall an event and your body tenses, heart races, or chest aches, that's not imagination. It's your body telling a story your mind is being forced to forget. When your memory clashes with their words, don't rush to trust them. Pause and ask, "Are my emotions valid? Did I truly feel hurt?" The answer is yes, no one can rewrite that. To reclaim your memories, write them down. Record events, emotions, words, and actions as they happen. Not to accuse, but to protect yourself from later distortion. When you doubt yourself, revisit those notes. They're proof you saw what you saw, felt what you felt. You're not crazy. Another way is to talk to trusted people. Share your story and hear their objective perspective. They'll help you see who's manipulating you and who's trying to weaken you. Don't fear judgment. Those who care won't judge you for trusting the wrong person. They'll help you regain your strength. Manipulators rewrite the past to erase your right to be angry, sad, or say enough. They know if you remember the truth, you'll leave. So they use words, looks, emotions, and tactics to reshape history, making you forget why you hurt. But you can break this cycle by trusting your emotions, documenting the truth, setting boundaries, and telling yourself, my memories are real, my emotions are real. No one can take that away. If you've been manipulated this way, share your story in the comments. It's not just cathartic, it's a light for others in the dark of self-doubt. If this content stirs something in you, like and share to spread the truth. Subscribe for more videos on rebuilding inner trust. We'll keep unmasking these tactics and restoring what's been distorted within. Number 6, they exploit your empathy. There's a paradox about kindness. If you're compassionate, always seeing the good in others, you're also the most vulnerable to exploitation. Master manipulators don't target the cold or guarded. They target you, the one ready to forgive, believing everyone deserves a second chance, thinking pain explains bad behavior. Because your heart is open, they don't attack directly. They exploit your empathy as a gateway to control you without force or threats. When they sense your compassion, they quickly share sad stories, trauma, betrayal, abandonment, abuse, crafting a victim image to lower your defenses and open your heart. They make you feel like you're the only one who understands them, as if you're meant to heal them. You don't just love them, you feel bound by responsibility. You can't leave, not because you don't want to, but because you fear they'll collapse without you. During conflicts, instead of owning their actions, they switch to suffering mode. They cry, withdraw, or say things like, I know I'm not worthy. You'll leave me like everyone else. Or, I always disappoint people. You become the comforter, feeling you must understand them, even when they're clearly wrong. They know pain is the fastest way to disarm logic. You stop arguing because your heart aches for their collapse. You let go of boundaries, forgive, and stay, out of compassion. Another form is posing as well-intentioned but helpless. When they hurt you, they say, I'm trying to change, but it's hard. I have mental struggles, or I know I'm wrong, but I'm scarred from childhood. You, empathetic, swallow your anger, set aside your pain, and focus on healing them. You convince yourself, they need me more than I need an apology. But this is the trap. They make you believe compassion is duty and your endurance is love. In reality, they're dodging change by hiding as a helpless victim. Even more dangerous, they use moral accusations. If you really loved me, you'd understand. You say you care about the broken but turn away when I need you. Or, you're no different from those who hurt me. These words make you feel guilty and force you to prove your love by sacrificing more. The more you love, the more you hurt. The more patient you are, the less they change. The more you forgive, the deeper they pull you into a toxic cycle. This doesn't mean you should become callous. A compassionate heart isn't the problem. The issue is when compassion lacks boundaries, it becomes self-destruction. Love doesn't mean letting someone hurt you repeatedly just because they have a painful past. You can empathize with their pain, but aren't obligated to bear its consequences. You can understand without enduring. To protect yourself, distinguish between genuine compassion and blind sacrifice. True compassion recognizes their pain, but maintains your boundaries. Blind sacrifice ignores your worth and pain to save them, leaving you drained. Love doesn't require erasing yourself. Another tool is asking, if I don't do this for them, will they take responsibility? If not, you're being manipulated. If you're always cleaning up their messes while they wallow in a void, you're not helping, you're being used. And the scarier part, enabling their avoidance weakens them and prolongs the toxic dependency. You deserve a love that doesn't demand you play therapist 24/7. You deserve someone who reflects, takes responsibility, and grows through conflicts. You don't need to always forgive, soften, or suppress your emotions to keep them. That's not love, it's abandoning yourself. If you've been in a relationship where your empathy was endlessly exploited, pause. Write down the times you forgave, hurt, or carried their emotions while aching. That's proof you love fully, and proof it's time to love yourself more. If this resonates, comment below. You're not alone. Many have faced this and learned to protect their hearts without losing kindness. If this video adds value, share it with those needing it, and subscribe for more lessons on inner strength. Compassion is a gift, but you must learn to give it to the right people at the right time. Number 7, they trigger you, then play innocent. One of the most insidious tactics of a master manipulator is their ability to provoke an emotional outburst and then act innocent. They do something subtle to make you angry, hurt, confused, or lose control. Then stand back as you rage, cry, or shout, asking with feigned surprise, "Why are you overreacting?" In that moment, you're not just swept into an emotional storm, you start doubting yourself. They plant guilt, making you think the issue lies in your weakness or lack of control, not their provocation. They do this by exploiting emotional vulnerabilities they've quietly gathered. They know what makes you insecure, what triggers you, what taps into your deepest fears. But they don't attack directly. They prod, insinuate, use coldness or silence to ignite a storm within you. For example, after you share a deep hurt, they might bring it up at an unexpected moment, then deny intent. "I was just joking, why are you so sensitive?" Or, "You're imagining things, I didn't mean it like that." You're pushed to justify your emotions, prove you're not crazy or oversensitive. This is classic gaslighting. They make you doubt your reality. You're hurting from something specific, real and clear, but they act like nothing happened. They stay calm, speak softly, making you look irrational while they appear composed. Outsiders unaware of the deeper story might think you're too sensitive while they're keeping the peace. You're hurt and labeled unstable, a double wound. This tactic works best on those prone to self-doubt. If you often blame yourself, fear being wrong, or obsess over not disappointing others, you're easily drawn into this cycle. Each time you react, you punish yourself, feeling, "I deserve to be abandoned," or "I need to be quieter." Instead of confronting their toxic behavior, you try to fix yourself only to be manipulated again. The danger is they don't need to say anything explicit, threaten, or control overtly. They just trigger a reaction, then watch you damage your own image. They kill you with innocence, making you seem unhinged while using your reaction to paint you as unstable. Because you can't fully explain your deep hurt, you feel isolated. No one sees why you're stressed or what's wrong with them, and you pull away from loved ones, fearing judgment or misunderstanding. To break free, stop explaining your emotions. If you're hurt, you're entitled to feel it without needing approval. No one can make you feel wrong for hurting. You don't need evidence to prove your pain or win an argument to defend your feelings. Emotional maturity means standing by yourself, even when others don't understand or believe you. Next, recognize manipulation through your reactions. If you feel confused, angry, guilty, and torn between leaving and feeling too harsh for doing so, pause and ask, who's manipulating my emotions? The best manipulators leave no trace. They leave feelings. Don't just listen to their words. Notice how you feel after being around them. If you consistently feel guilty, inadequate, or like you must try harder, you're likely in a subtle emotional game. Another key strategy: withdraw energy from their drama. When they provoke, don't react. When they try to anger you, observe. When they wield innocence, remember, not every smile is kind. Hold your calm like armor. You don't need to shout, argue, or prove anything. The less they pull your emotions, the less power they have. See them as actors in a play. You know they're performing, but you're no longer in the front row. Finally, don't fear being misunderstood. Truth doesn't vanish because someone denies it. You don't need validation to leave a draining relationship. If you feel pulled down or like you're disappearing, that's reason enough to choose freedom. Peace is your birthright, not something you beg for. If you've reacted to hurt and been labeled over the top, share your story in the comments. Your experience could help others see the truth they're denying. If this video resonates, like it, share it with those trapped in doubt, and subscribe for more insights on psychology and inner strength. You deserve clarity, not someone else's emotional games. Number 8, they never accept responsibility. One of the clearest and most dangerous signs of a master manipulator is their refusal to take responsibility for their actions or their consequences. No matter how obvious the situation, how solid your evidence, words, witnesses, or logic, they'll evade accountability, flip the script, and even make you feel like you should apologize. This isn't accidental. It's a honed strategy to maintain power in relationships. By consistently dodging responsibility, they don't just deny their wrongs, they distort your reality. They make you doubt your memory, feel confused about what you've experienced, and question your emotions. For example, if you say their harsh words hurt you instead of owning up, they respond, "You're just too sensitive. I don't recall saying that." Or worse, "If that happened, you must have done something to make me say it." Instead of taking responsibility, they shift it to you. If you push back, they might get angry, withdraw, or act disappointed that you can't forgive. The core of this behavior is their relentless, subtle refusal to protect the perfect image they've built of themselves. Admitting fault feels like weakness to them, as it risks losing their emotional control over others. In their mind, apologies are for the weak, so they use anger, prolonged silence, avoidance, fake soothing, or vague promises to make you move on from the issue, all to escape accountability. Another subtle form is blaming circumstances, others, or you. They never directly apologize, but spin a sob story about being too stressed, hurt before, under work pressure, or struggling with childhood trauma. It sounds empathetic, even human, but notice, every story leads to the same point. It's not their fault. They don't take responsibility. They justify why they're blameless. You'll find yourself forgiving them, not because they've changed, but because you believe they're trying. Each time you back down, they learn a dangerous lesson. They can keep dodging, manipulating, and still be forgiven. Your empathy, your greatest gift, becomes their tool. They exploit your heart, your compassion, and your fear of being the bad guy to perpetuate this cycle endlessly. The truth is, anyone can make mistakes, but only the emotionally mature can say, "I was wrong. I'm sorry. I'll take responsibility and make it right." Manipulators don't. They fear being seen as flawed because it threatens their idealized image. Always right, always the victim, or always good. They may play the kind role convincingly, but when issues arise, they vanish or push the blame onto you. The scarier part? Stay with them long enough and you'll start blaming yourself. Instead of asking, "What did they do?" you'll ask, "Did I do something wrong?" That's when their manipulation has seeped into your emotional nervous system. You become the one carrying all the blame, while the true culprit remains unscathed. What do you do when you're with someone who never takes responsibility? First, stop expecting change. Emotional maturity can't be forced. If they're not ready to own their actions, nothing you do will make them grow. Don't hope for an apology that never comes. Instead, set boundaries. You can't control their behavior, but you can control how much access they have to your emotions. Say clearly, "I feel hurt by this, and I need you to take responsibility for your actions." If they dodge, deny, or blame, that's your answer. Someone who truly loves you will learn to take responsibility, not because they're forced, but because they value the relationship. If they always evade, they're choosing themselves, their control, their power, not you. True love doesn't fear saying, "I was wrong," or "I hurt you." It knows healing begins with honesty. No one deserves to be with someone who makes you apologize for your own emotions. If you've been in a relationship where the other never owned their harm, share your story in the comments. You're not alone, and you deserve to be heard, not dismissed. Like, if this content helps, share it with someone stuck in a similar dynamic, and subscribe for more on healing and building healthy boundaries. After all this, if you see someone in your life using these subtle manipulation tactics to control, confuse, steal your confidence, or make you doubt your worth, you're not oversensitive or overthinking. You're waking up. A master manipulator doesn't always yell, slam tables, or openly demean you. Sometimes they smile, speak softly, seem loving, but every move is calculated to bend you to their will, keep you on the defensive, make you try harder to be loved. The truth is, love never demands self-destruction. Someone who truly loves you won't hurt you and then expect you to heal alone. They won't create a storm and blame you for the rain. The strongest thing you can do isn't trying to change them. It's protecting your boundaries, rebuilding your self-respect, and deciding you're done with that cycle. You can't change the past, but you can change how you let others treat you from today. You don't need permission to find peace. You don't need an apology to let go. You just need awareness and courage to draw the line. If you see yourself in any of these signs, comment below. I want to hear your story. Sometimes one shared experience can help someone else realize they're being controlled. Like, if this content clarifies something in your mind, share it with those you think are trapped in doubt and pain. And if you want to keep exploring tools for inner strength, boundary setting, and deep healing, subscribe to the channel. The journey to emotional awakening isn't one you should walk alone. I'm here with you. Remember, a manipulator only controls you if you allow it, and you absolutely can reclaim your power, starting now.